This is Simon with toughtrader.com and Trade and Perform Coaching. Let's get the disclaimer out of the way real quick. Hold on one second here. Okay, before we get started, this is for educational purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Let's review what we had today and take away the key points from the day. This is being done live in the room, so if anyone has any questions, hit me. Happy to answer them if I can. So, quickly, when we came in the morning, right, we had gapped down overnight due to, or we had moved down. Here, let's pull up a 24-hour chart so we can kind of map this out. On both ES and NQ. Okay, we had pushed down overnight when we had pushed down over key levels, right? We had, let me drag this over. There we go. This was Fed low. This was, wow, if this was Fed low, this was yesterday's low, Fed low, and we pushed just underneath overnight. If you look to the left, drag this over, pop this out. Okay. So Fed low, excuse me. Wow, I'm having a hard time with this. There we go. Fed low, yesterday's low, right, where we got a reversal. Then overnight, we poked underneath. In classic form, right, we went and trapped everybody who attempted to short late. Late sellers came in before London Open, right? This is our London Open right here. 2 a.m. Okay. That was our London low. We'll color that purple. Okay. So then you can see we came into the US session. Here's insert symbol tick. Here's the beginning of US session. So you can see in US session we double tapped London low, and we were unable to make any progress below that point, right? So what did you have? You had trapped people late in Asia before Europe. Europe was not responding with anywhere near the same amount of fear that they did in Asia, right? We get back over, so this is Fed low, this is yesterday low, this is London low, this is South Korea low from last night, right? So when you look when we came in, we made an attempt to push out, and we made an attempt to trend up. Now that was understandable because what we had known from the prior attempts is that we had open drive higher in both situations. But we knew the situation had changed a little bit because NQ has been pushing down. Okay, because, sorry Bill, I missed that note earlier. Because NQ had been pushing down the last couple of days, so we expected a response back down. What we got was actually pretty weird, right? So if you look at the behavior in NQ, what we actually ended up with was behavior similar to what we had in past sessions where we gapped down, we failed to get below the prior low. This week was hard, Ron, I agree with you. It's just challenging all the way around. We gapped down, we opened up above yesterday's low, we immediately drove higher, attempted to gap fill, just missed the gap fill, and then we rolled all the way down to the low. So what you have is a market that is completely detached itself. One market has completely detached itself from the other market. If we looked at NQ, we would have said like, wow, that was a really good open, potential open drive higher. If you look at ES, right, you would say open auction, right? Open auction, complete failure to close or even get close to closing the gap, right? And then we swept the entire range. So a couple of important notes. The 50-60 back on the mid, that rule is still intact, right? If you don't break a new IB high, which we did not here, right? We attempted to, but failed. That mid is always at risk, and you're in danger of pushing to the downside. You should have that in your notes. It's really, really, really critically important that you have that in your notes. Because if you don't, and what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to try to scale, just so you know, I'm trying to scale 24.97 3/4 so I can let the other one see if I can get it to run. So I'm sitting 97.75 for a scale, and I'm hoping that I can get that here in the next couple of minutes. If not, I'll stop, break even on that trade. Okay, so if you looked at ES, you'd gone, okay, we failed to fill gap. This is pretty classical gap down. So what would you need, right? So think about this. What would you need to think this was going to be trend day down? We'd want to break the low of the first 5-minute low, right? Now switch back to NQ, right? So usually why we're having difficulty is because we think NQ and ES will trade off of each other, and based on the last couple of days, we would think NQ would be weaker than ES. I am past my 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible so it sounds succinct. We filled the gap but failed to exceed the gap. We did have what looked like an open drive higher. We never got the trend day down because we were not able to clear underneath the first 5-minute low, right? If you look at the rest of the day, ES never penetrated underneath London low. These are both attempts, and you can see we broke to a new low in ES, failed to break to a new low in NQ. NQ got trapped. You see we pushed below and were unable to close below. Then we closed back in. We all know in the room what the rule is on this bar right here, right? I, by the way, got my 3/4 on that lift, just FYI, so everyone knows. 24.97 and 3/4, and I am leaving my stop at BE, so I walk away profitable on that no matter what. But that felt like a pretty wimpy trade, to say the least. NQ is still looking pretty good, right? So when this was really important, right? We end up in this chop in this bear. I think this is a bear flag. It's kind of sloppy, but it's a bear flag, right? And we're underneath the lower part of the day. The obvious target, right? I got to adjust my stop. Excuse me a second. Apologize. Stop adjusted. The obvious target on this push up, right? Below the 50-60, inability to push. We were getting overbought signals, and underneath VWAP was for a break and continuation to retest the low. So what this information told us down here, guys, was that first of all, ES, just like it's not participating on the upside, was not participating on the downside. ES has really been stronger than NQ all week long, right? So when this trapped back in and we got above this bar, shorts were totally screwed here and had to push in and close, right? You would think the natural target here going into the last hour would be back in to fill the gap and possibly pushing all the way to 59, 57, but it's Friday afternoon. That's a hard argument to make, right? Additionally, if you look, when we got our tick, right, I noted that in real time, when we got to the high of the day, high tick push, high price push, but unable to close at a new high, and that would most likely mark either the high for the day or at least a significant high, which it did. Cool, I got. Okay, sorry, having the notes. So we turned short here, right? Covered for 2 points. I ended up just taking this thing out. I never got an extension. I was never able to get an extension down, but at least 2 points were available there. No break of the low, right? There was no reason to get bearish, and then the range was really compressed all the way around. What is the primary takeaway from today I want to point out? First of all, NQ does provide plenty of trading opportunities, but you had to be patient. I mentioned pre-market. NQ's been very difficult because of it's been slipping. That's the only word I have to use. It's been slipping in both directions, right? We slipped straight up, then we slipped straight down, right? But if you let the opening rotation come through and you started working it through here in the afternoon, or even if you took the Q from ES on the new high push, right? So if you look at what time that occurred, right, you can look for some commonality. 9:45, new high push. Here's 9:45, and I can tell you because I already remember, but we were already rolling off on NQ. Here it is. And Mari, by the way, congratulations, caught this perfectly. So there's NQ already rolling down, right? And I mentioned in this area that if you wanted a wider range or a more aggressive trade because NQ's been weaker all week, that was your trade on push to the downside. You just couldn't get greedy here and think we were going to break the low, right? So think of this just like I've been talking about in the room. Think of algoing each step of this process, right? All algo means is that there's a computer program, that there's a process behind each step of that process. I want to stress again, I have scaled half this trade at 97 3/4, and I have my fingers crossed for the end of the day. Okay. Think about algoing this. We had the high tick of the day, new high price. We have plenty of examples of where that's created fantastic trade opportunity, right? We know discipline-wise, in order to have a down day, we got to get underneath the first 5 minutes. You're supposed to use all of this to corral your emotions so that you don't feel, right? So it was great because Ron said it early in the room, hey, I feel like it's short. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with feeling like it's short. I felt like it was short earlier too, right? But you've got to corral your emotions as a day trader, because let's say we're correct. Let's say NQ is going to roll all the way down to 5K, right? Or 5,800, forget 5K. Let's say it's going to roll to 5,800. It's not that far away. It could happen, right? What is the essence of the requirement of that trade? Well, in order for that to happen, we have to get below the low of the day, right? And hopefully there would be a consolidation there and a stretch to get us overbought, right? And push back up to give us a trade to the downside. That's so much better than having the feeling like we're short, getting in and insisting that we're going to be short and trying to come in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and then finally getting, right, run over. It feels humiliating, especially if you come in Monday and it actually rolls down. So what will we look for on So now let's take the lessons we learned today and what will we look for on Monday. So first of all, we know we have to be trading below the opening print in order to have a down day. You'll notice in both markets, we only made one attempt below the opening print all day long. It immediately trapped shorts, and they had to push to the other end of the range. That is normal, right? Additionally, we had a big tick push. Tick hasn't been working very well for us lately in terms of not giving us any read, but we had a read here. We had a tick push. You had to wait an hour and 45 minutes into the day to get this read, but it gave you the read and it pushed you all the way to the other end of the range. How did you figure out you could get to the other end of the range? We failed to break IB high, and you had a relatively tight 2-point stop, which gave you a 1-to-1 risk reward. Then finally, even though I was gone, when I got back, I immediately recognized it, and I said, hey, that's a trap. I drew the line at 59.23. As long as we hold 59.23, we should be able to push back up. High of the day or higher would be the other side of the range and the ultimate target, right? And that is the synopsis for the day. You can't get any better than that. It's slow, but we are able to pull some pennies out, right? And then the market will pick back up in speed and we'll get paid, because the same process that we're doing here, right guys, works in all markets. It's the same idea. It'd be nicer if this were going with a 10-point range and NQ were working with 30 and 40-point ranges, because we get paid significantly better than the beggar's fees we're charging now. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to any questions anyone has. This is the time to ask. I think I covered it pretty well. And the theme of the day, just like always, right? Buyers are in overall control. Where overall, if you have to lean hard on one side, lean long to the hard side, right? Because we get more sweeps up than we do down. Easy rules, right? And I think that's it. Okay, I think everyone did really well this week for what was a pretty damn challenging environment. So, yes, going all of nowhere, and I have no risk left on this trade. So, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm done. Talk to you later, guys. Thank y'all. Oh, Mari, congratulations on your trade as well. Everyone did well, but Mari, that was a really nice NQ short you had. And Ron, it'll be easier next week. I'm pretty sure you still killed it this week. See you guys.